Welcome back to Hardball. We don't often talk about topics this stark, but was an innocent man executed on Texas Governor Rick Perry's watch? Shortly before he was executed on February 17, 2004, Cameron Todd Willingham said, quote, "I am an innocent man convicted of a crime I did not commit. I've been persecuted now for 12 years for something I did not do." Wow. Well, a commission in Texas was investigating whether Willingham was wrongfully executed, but 2 days before a critical hearing that could have been embarrassing to Governor Perry removed 4 members of the panel, including its chairman. Samuel Bassett, the former chairman of the Texas Forensic Science Commission, joins us now, along with Wayne Slater, senior political writer for the Dallas Morning News. Wayne, you've been on the show before, so you start. Give us the capsule of this story. Back in 2004, someone was executed. They pled innocent. They were innocent, it turns out, according to a report that reached the governor right before the execution. But explain what happened.
Well, again, the fire was in 1991. 3 kids died. These are the children of this Todd Willingham. He was convicted, executed, as you said, in 2004. The legislature created this special commission, a state panel to look into complaints. And this was one of this kind involving the death penalty. And this was one of the first complaints. So, as you said, just 2 days before a hearing in which this commission, a state commission under Rick Perry as the governor, which had hired a special independent investigator who concluded that the arson investigation was flawed, fatally flawed, 2 days before a hearing which would have clearly embarrassed the governor came in, basically swept out his appointees, replaced the chairman of the committee, and the effect of this has been no hearing, and likely no hearing between now and before next March's primary. At least that's the guessing here.
Sam Bassett, were you sacked to cover up a wrong execution, do you believe?
I have no idea, Chris. It's hard for me to speculate, but I will say the change in the commission certainly interrupted some very important work for the future of criminal justice and forensic science in Texas.
Well, where were you on the commission before you were dropped among the 4 people dropped by the governor from the commission? How close were you to getting to some decision on whether that man, Willingham, was guilty or innocent of the crime for which he was executed?
We had a lot of work left to do, Chris, and our findings were limited to the forensic issues in the case, not the broader issues of guilt or innocence, but obviously the forensic issues would have played into any debate about whether or not he was innocent or guilty. Now, where we were in the investigation was we had received our report from our expert, and we were very interested, and I was interested as the leader of the commission, in hearing all perspectives. I did not want to limit our investigation to simply what our expert said. I wanted to welcome input from people who may have had the opposite viewpoint.
Was there a crime committed? Was there arson? Does your forensic evidence demonstrate that there was or was not a crime committed for which anyone should have been executed?
Dr. Byler's report raised significant concern about the reliability of the testimony during the trial that opined that there was arson in the case. So there were significant concerns, but we had not reviewed the whole record. We hadn't finished our investigation.
Well, let me go back to Wayne on this. It seems to me if there was reasonable doubt as to whether there was a crime, there certainly was reasonable doubt as to anyone in particular who committed it. That's common sense. If you don't know there was arson, how can you execute a guy with any confidence for having committed the arson? That may not have occurred.
And this was not the only investigator, expert who's really testified here, the one at the committee. There have been, I think, 6 or 7 people who, right before the execution, in material given to the governor, and subsequent to the execution, who have raised serious questions about whether or not this was arson. If it wasn't arson, and they've all raised questions about it, then clearly an innocent man was executed. But as Sam said, they weren't there yet. And Rick Perry basically pulled the plug before they got there.
How much information did the governor have on what your findings were so far, where you were headed, Mr. Bassett? I'm trying to get at motive here.
he had a copy of the Byler report, and we were required to disclose that report to all the public and the media who were interested in the case the day that we received the final report. So he had the report.
Did you ever formally, did that stop you from releasing the report that said there was no hard evidence that there was arson?
No, did not. We released it immediately upon when we received it, as required.
But you couldn't take any further action? Or is the committee working? Is the commission functioning now without you 4 members?
The October 2nd meeting was canceled. As far as I know, no future meetings have been scheduled. There are 4 new commission members, Chris, and it's my understanding no meeting has been scheduled.
Well, the old argument is that justice delayed is justice denied. In the case of this poor fellow, Willingham, he is executed. He's gone. But as for getting at the truth, do you think justice will be delayed throughout this campaign so that Governor Perry can get reelected, renominated, and then reelected?
I have no idea. I know we were going to have difficulty completing everything we needed to do before the primary, but that wasn't our concern. Our concern was getting to the bottom of it.
Well, you won't get to the bottom of it now. Let's take a look at what Senator Kay Bailey Hutchinson had to say. She's challenging the governor in this primary coming up. The only thing Rick Perry's actions have accomplished is giving liberals an argument to discredit the death penalty. Kay Bailey Hutchinson's a supporter of the death penalty. Well, that's one of her supporters, obviously. What do you make of this, Wayne? Is this going to be a campaign issue? Is it already?
It already is a campaign issue. And remember, Chris, in Texas, everyone is supporting the death penalty. You can't be elected statewide without that. In the 1990 governor's race, the 3 Democrats running, including Ann Richards, all sort of jockeyed for position who was stronger on the death penalty. So Kay Bailey Hutchinson's move was brilliant today, at least as a political tactician, and that is to say that who's the real friend of the death penalty? It's me, Kay Bailey Hutchinson, the one who says that I'm not going to do stuff that gives liberals an opportunity to attack the death penalty like Rick Perry. It's an issue already.
Righty, and by the way, this is great fodder for the Innocence Project and other efforts to get rid of ultimately to bring into question and perhaps bring down the death penalty. Thank you, Wayne Slater. Thank you, Sam Bassett, very much for this. Please keep us up to date.